Hey, good morning. Aaron Kubitz, personal trainer, functional aesthetics CC, helping average guys perform better inside and outside the gym. Today I want to demonstrate a really simple series of mobility drills you can do for your shoulders, help loosen them up, especially if you're doing a lot of things like pull-ups, biceps curls, even bench pressing can tend to do this. If you're climbing ropes, things like that, all these things can tighten up your lats. And a lot of times people think, I'm training my back, I'm training my lats, and yes, your lats are in your back, right? But they tend to also, if they become overly tight and stronger than, let's say, like your rhomboids or your lower traps, your middle traps and stuff, they will tend to rotate you in, right? Because that's one of the functions of the lats. In addition to adduction of the shoulders, they also do a little bit of internal rotation as well. And so if you want to keep that loose, if you're doing a lot of pull-ups and stuff, from time to time you might notice that you start getting a little bit like, creaky in the shoulders or something, don't have as good of mobility. So really simple drill you can do is, the first one I like to do is start out like this, where you're just standing in front, you take a deep breath in, you're gonna raise your shoulders up, almost kind of like you're shrugging them, right? Breathing in, and then once you're up to that position, you're gonna come behind you. Keep your elbows as roughly, you don't have to like completely lock them out, but have them relatively straight when you're doing this. Shrugging up, breathing in, and then once you get to this point, pushing back like this behind you, like you're, like if you're gonna fall on the ground, you're trying to slap the ground to prevent you from falling down like we used to do in martial arts, right? So you're also tucking your chin a little bit, breathe in, come back like this. Once you get to this position like this, then what you want to do is flip the hands out like this while keeping your shoulder blades retracted. So it's up. And then as you are rotating like this, you're going to start exhaling as you raise your arms up over your head, and you want to try to keep your arms in that same plane of motion, right? Come up as high as you can. If you have a lot of restriction, you might only make it up to, maybe here, and then you get stuck. And so what you can do from there is kind of allow it to drift forward a little bit, you want to keep that tension as much as possible, but while still allowing you to move your arms up. Over time, you'll be able to go farther and farther back. Now, ideally, you want to train the body from all different sides so you avoid getting this to begin with, but sometimes you got to loosen things up before those opposing muscle groups can work efficiently enough. That's another thing that I do with my corrective exercise programs, is where a lot of times people will be out of balance with stuff. So like, let's say for example, you have this forward head posture going on like this from sitting at a computer a long time, throughout the course of the day. So your sternocleidomastoid, your SEM muscles right here, right? Those ones are getting tight, or not tight, but they're getting weak because you're sitting like this, you're not really using them. Their function is basically like this, and turning the head side to side, right, like that. And so if you're sitting like this, they get weak, right, out of balance. The extensors, cervical extensors back here, they end up getting tight. And so to be able to help these muscles work most effectively, what we then want to do is we want to be able to loosen up the overly tight ones to assist these ones in doing their function. Because if these ones are really strong and tight, right, it's going to make it harder for these ones to actually work. So what we want to do first is loosen those up. So that's kind of the same thing that we're talking about here in the shoulder, right? If your lats are super tight, if all the ligaments, in the chest or your chest muscles are tight and stuff, anterior delta are tight, it's going to make it difficult for those smaller rotator cuff muscles, your lower traps and rhomboids and stuff, to effectively engage from this lengthened position when you're out of balance. So you first want to focus on loosening up, stretching out those tight muscles. So the second and the last mobility exercise I'm going to show you for loosening up the shoulder joints is actually where you kind of start like this. I'm going to show you from the side first, and then I'll show you from the front. So start with your hand down, almost like you're kind of like grabbing a sword out of a scabbard or something, right? So you start here, and then you're going to lift it up and really extend out through here, right? If you're doing it right and you're tight there, you should feel like your ribs, like the muscles, the intercostals in between your ribs, stretching out as you're reaching out, right? So you want to be not just throwing your arm up like this, right? Because that's super easy, right? When you get here, really kind of stretch it out, right? And so you start from this internal rotation position, extend the chest back, open it up like that. And then you can do the same thing on the other side, like that as well. Another one you can do coming like this, almost like a scarecrow type position here, reaching up like that. Those kind of help to loosen things up a little bit. So from the front, basically it looks like this. You're just stretching yourself out like that. So you're using the muscles on the opposite side of that joint to stretch the muscles on the front. And I forget the exact terminology for that. I don't know if it's like reciprocal inhibition or that might be it, but I forget the exact term that it's called. But anyway, that helps loosen that up a little bit. And then if you want to actually train that rotator cuff pretty good too, you can get like some light resistance bands and do that same motion using the resistance bands. So not only are you stretching the tight muscles, and actually I would say start out without using the band, right? After you get a little bit loosened up and warmed up, then use the band. So now you're actually strengthening those muscles on the back side of the joint, helping to restore that balance to the system. Because a lot of times when we go to the gym, we're doing a lot of stuff, you know, the fun exercises, right? We're doing our bench presses, we're doing our overhead presses, we're doing the pull-ups, all these things that are really good exercises for building your strength and your function, even if you're doing push-ups too, right? All these things are really good, but if you do overemphasize those at the expense of all your posterior chain muscles, you're going to end up with setting yourself up for not only getting injured in the future, but also limiting your athletic potential and your strength potential, because there's built-in mechanisms within your body so that if certain muscles get out of balance, too far out of balance, right, then your body will naturally limit the amount of force you're able to produce. Also, you're in a mechanically inefficient position, right? So, for example, think about it this way. If you are drawing back a bow, right? If you only draw it to half draw and then you let it go, the arrow's not going to go as far as if you bring it all the way back, right? So if you're in a fully stretched position like this, you're actually able to, you know, you're going to be able to generate more force. You're going to have, and we know that building muscle, you're actually going to be able to build more muscle in a stretched position as well. I would say that actually, it's maybe not entirely accurate to say that, like, in the case of it's maybe not a perfect analogy, right? Because we actually do know that like a 90-degree joint angle, if you only come down to like halfway in a squat or something like that, and you don't go below parallel, same thing with like a bench press or whatever, if you don't go as deep, you're going to be able to actually move more weight, because usually the sticking point is from the bottom, and then, you know, just before the lockout can also be a sticking point as well. But definitely for building more muscle, you get that more of a stretch there. And so if your chest is underdeveloped, you might want to stop working your chest quite as much and start working your back more, stretching your chest more, and then after a period of doing that, giving your chest a bit of a break, go back to chest training, and I'm pretty sure you'll see a lot better gains in your chest development by doing that. All right, guys, if you like the video, hit the like button, and we'll see you all next time I have a insightful idea for it.